With just 7 working days left in this Parliament session, the fate of many crucial bills hangs in the balance. The Finance Bill has been postponed by a day to the 30th of April to accommodate a discussion on the supplementary demand for grants. The Appropriations Bill, which was meant to be taken up today, will now be taken up tomorrow. And the Constitutional Amendment Bill to facilitate the GST may now be pushed to next week. But there seems to be no forward movement on the Land Acquisition Bill, which could be put off for the next session. Amidst this packed legislative agenda, the Rajya Sabha saw some major commotion over the Prime Minister's statement in Germany and Canada. The Prime Minister said he's changing the image of India from Scam India to Skill India. That caused a ruckus in Parliament. Joining us now to talk about the current session of Parliament and the Congress's strategy and position is the senior Congress leader Veerappa Moily, also the former oil minister. Also joining us is the former railway minister and TMC leader Dinesh Trivedi. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us. Mr. Moily, let me start by asking you, sir, the Goods and Services Tax Constitutional Amendment Bill is perhaps going to be taken up by Parliament next week. The Congress party so far has been maintaining that the GST bill be sent back to a standing committee. But why, sir? This has been a matter that has been under discussion and deliberation from the time that Shri Pranab Mukherjee was the finance minister. Your government oversaw the empowered panel discuss and debate the issues of the GST bill. Why are you now asking for the bill to be sent back to the standing committee?
You know, it is the earlier bill which we had moved, and that had gone to the standing committee. The standing committee, after the due deliberation, they sent back that report. And that is how we moved on. But because of the lapse of the period of the last session, you know, they had to bring it new one. But while bringing new one, you know, they have in fact effected number of changes. I am not speaking about other minor changes, but there are few fundamental changes which they have effected, which will not make the act or the bill to take off at all. The number one is with regard to the the introduction of the clause that, you know, everything will have to now it will be, if there is a dispute, it will be decided by voting, and
right.
As against the consensus which was contemplated in our original bill. But the question is that, you know, the voting, you know, in a federal system like this, when there is a coalition government here and also various parties ruling the various states, and also the conflict between the manufacturing states and also the non-manufacturing.
But sir, the finance minister of Kerala, Mr. K.M. Mani, who is also heading the empowered panel on the goods and services tax, speaking to us on this channel, clarified that all the issues between producing states and consuming states have now been resolved, that there is consensus between producing states and consuming states on the constitutional amendment bill, which has now been tabled in Parliament. Are your differences so dire that you will not allow this bill, or you will not support the bill if the government were to move it?
There are few things. Constitutional amendment will bring out the frame of the bill to come. The goods and services bill will have to be, proposed later, both by the centre separately and also the respective states. This is the roadmap. You know, it is not as if that once the constitutional amendment is passed, everything is over. And
no, of course, it has to be taken to legislative assemblies as well. Yeah, it has to go to the legislative assemblies, sir. We're aware of that.
No.
But Mr. Moily, a straightforward question. You know, a straightforward question, sir. This is going to be taken up, we are given to understand, in Parliament next week now, because the finance bill will come up on the 30th, and perhaps that's forced the government to push the GST bill to next week. Will the Congress support the bill? Will it not support the bill?
No, you can't answer this question in a straight line, because, you know, we are insisting that it has to go to the standing committee. You know, this government, particularly since 1 year, they don't want any bill to go to any standing committee. They would like to straight away pass it. And this is not a method in which the parliamentary democracy should function. Then what is it? They can as well wind up the standing committees. This is what we are pleading, and other day also we press for it, and next time also we are going to press for it. But at the same time, one thing is clear, that, you know, the constitutional amendment which we brought about, and also the Goods and Services Act bill which we wanted to bring in, it was more progressive one. We are insisting for this government to reintroduce again. Otherwise, you know, this kind of an act or a bill or a process will get stuck up. they will have to make a lot of preparation on the...
Sure. So you're saying that the Congress party will not change its position on the GST bill. You will continue to demand that the bill be sent to a standing committee.
This is no, it is very easy for you people to say that. But we are telling you that government has to negotiate it. But any parliamentary
so what will it take, sir?
The negotiation is important.
What will it take for the government to convince you to support
I am very sorry. I am very sorry that you have not understood what I have said. We are for GST bill. This is our bill. We are for GST. This is one of the best tax reforms ever we can have in this country. We are for it. But this government will have to make it practical. And tomorrow it has to be implemented. You should not get into the difficulties and complexities by which the entire implementation will be held over.
All right, fair point.
Only satisfaction. Satisfaction that
let me bring in.
We are supporting it. We are supporting the entire proposition.
I got that point, sir. I got that point. Let me bring in Mr. Dinesh Trivedi, the former railway minister and member of the TMC, into this conversation. Mr. Trivedi, on most other issues, the TMC does not support the government, but on the issue of the GST, will you support this government? That has been the public position so far. Will you continue to support this government on the GST bill?
I think a lot would depend on the approach of the government, and it would depend how they take the opposition with them. Mainly the Congress, as far as TMC is concerned. I think on principle, we have said that depending on the discussion, we could be saying yes to their GST, but I think we need to get into the debate in the Parliament on the GST.
May I ask you, Mr. Trivedi, what do you mean by it will depend on the way that the government pursues its discussion? What will make you, for instance, change your mind on supporting the bill?
No, I think at the moment we have publicly mentioned that we are with the bill, but in case if there are certain changes when they bring amendments and all, if at all, which is not in the federal structure or which is not suitable to our state, in that situation, otherwise as it is what we have said.
Okay, so as of now you're saying you will support the government on the GST bill. Let me quickly ask you about the land bill, because there the opposition from the TMC has been absolutely clear, just like the Congress party. We don't know whether the land bill will be taken up for consideration and passage, or the government may develop cold feet on that. But if the government is willing to make any further amendments with the land bill, will you be willing to offer your support to the government on the land bill?
I think the BJP and the government has lost the plot on the land bill. And there is just no way the land bill really can ever be passed, which the reality has finally dawned on the government, because it is not only the opposition. Please understand, there is a huge section of the BJP who come from the rural India, and the mood of the people. We talk about farmers, but very little we do about the farmers. I mean, farmers at the end of the day has a right over their land, and I don't think so the might of the state can ever work. So considering those things, I don't think so the land bill is acceptable to the country at large. Who are we to tell the farmers that, oh, you don't do farming, you come and work in the factory? We are not in a totalitarian state. We are democracy, and the farmer has as much right. So to answer your question, I don't think so the land bill would come in this shape. I don't think so.
All right, you're saying the land bill in its current avatar, as far as you're concerned, is history. Mr. Moily, the Congress has maintained its opposition. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is on a padyatra of sorts at this point in time, agitating against the government's version of the land bill. Do you foresee, sir, you're a veteran parliamentarian, do you foresee that the government may still consider taking up this bill for passage and consideration in this session?
You know, how can, we are all opposing it. I think practically entire opposition is opposing it. And apart from that, even within the rank of the BJP and within the rank of the RSS and many of these, their supporters, they are also opposing it. And in fact, already the government has acquired the image of an anti-farmer and anti-poor, that is the kind of a thing which they are facing. And and they are not prepared to discuss. Not once, twice they have brought about the ordinance. Then while doing it, they could have discussed with the opposition. They could have come around. But there is no, as on today, there is no tendency that they will come around. Since they brought about the two ordinances, it is very clear that they are quite adamant on their stand. This kind of autocratic mood will not take them along, because in a parliamentary democracy, opposition is also important. They will have to take along with them, but they don't. But they have no toleration. There is no moderation. So, and we are very on land bill. The Congress party, and we are very firm that we are opposing it because it's totally anti-farmer.
All right, so you will continue to oppose the land bill. My final question to you, Mr. Moily, before I let you go, the black money bill, that is a money bill. So in that sense, like the finance bill, it doesn't really require the assent of the Rajya Sabha. Do you foresee the black money bill going through, sir, because the government has the numbers in the Lok Sabha?
The black money is not as simple as they put it as a money bill. Then, just to circumvent the Rajya Sabha and its approval, they can't, they just make it so convenient to ensure that, it is converted into a money bill. It's not that. It's highly technical, and, it cannot be entirely money bill. It has the mixture of it, and in fact, it has to be passed by the Rajya Sabha also. And, both houses will have to pass that. Just because, they don't have a majority, they would like to see that, the Rajya Sabha will not have a voice in passing the bill. And they can't do that.
So your interpretation of the black money bill differs from what the government has been putting out, but you're adamant that you will not support the government as far as the land bill is concerned, and even on the GST bill, you continue to maintain your position. Mr. Moily, Mr. Trivedi, it's always a pleasure.
GST is concerned, we are supporting the GST proposal, that the tax reform, most important tax reform. Congress is always for it. We have patronized it. We have brought it. But, the government should also find out that, what are the fallacies and controversies and complexities, and they will have to come around.
You've given us a headline, Mr. Moily. There seems to be a softening.
Pardon?
You've given us a headline. There seems to be a softening of position as far as the Congress party is concerned. It looks like the constitutional amendment bill for the goods and services tax will perhaps go through in this session of Parliament. But always a pleasure speaking with you, Mr. Moily and Mr. Trivedi. Thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18.